And what this comes down to is controlling states of consciousness. When you learn to control states of consciousness, you can shift into that state where you're now a millionaire when you have control of this power within you. Your life can change so quickly when you do this one thing. Literally, you will become a millionaire. And if you truly want to, and you push it even further, you will become a billionaire. Like, your success is dependent on you after you understand what I'm about to tell you in this video. And everyone that is successful, all of the millionaires and billionaires and people that are living with purpose and passion in the world and love what they do, they are using this. They are applying this in their life. Like right now, they are doing it, and they probably won't tell you that this is exactly what they're doing, but I'm going to tell you this in this video because I was very unsuccessful before I learned this. I had businesses, but they never went to that level to where they would even be six figures in a year. Now I'm well over six figures a month in a very, very short time, simply by understanding this one thing. And the problem that most people have that are trying to become successful is they can't focus their attention on one thing for more than a few seconds. The mind and your thoughts are like butterflies. They just want to fly around everywhere because your brain is not trained to focus in on one thing without being distracted. And this is something that I suffered from. It's something that I was doing in my own life. And when I went to prison, I realized, and I studied, and I got away from social media. I got away from all of the distractions, and I started focusing and training my brain to be able to focus in on one thing in the internal world in your mind until it actually comes into fruition. And we're living in a simulation. And Neville Goddard was right on point with this. And what he was training is that imagination creates reality. And you have to learn to focus your attention on one thing for long periods of time. And what is that? The identity of yourself, the concept of yourself that already has everything you desire. And when you could focus in on that and not focus in on all the distractions in your world, you become somebody different. All of your habits change. You start making new impressions into the subconscious mind, which starts shifting and altering your reality to where these magical things start happening. But you start to change. When you focus your attention on a new identity as being somebody successful, everything in your world's going to change. You're going to automatically start having different habits, and you're not even going to remember the person that you were before. But it all comes down to training the brain, isolating your attention to be able to focus in and have laser-like focus on one thing for long periods of time. And this is really the magic of it all. And when you can do this, when you can understand what I'm saying, you will be successful. You will become a millionaire. You can take it as far as you want to take it. And it depends on you once you develop this ability. And even Andrew Carnegie stated this when he was investigated for becoming a billionaire because he took this thing all the way to the next level. He wanted to become a billionaire. He learned to isolate his attention, and he was even investigated about this. They thought he was doing something illegal, but they investigated him and found out everything was legit within his businesses. Everything was. And they went and asked him, said, "How are you making this much money?" And he says, "It's because I can focus my attention on one thing for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes. And most people, they can't focus on one thing for more than a few seconds because they're so distracted with all these things. All these distractions in your world are destroying your ability to become successful. And a lot of us don't even understand when this ability is taken from us. And when we take our power back, we train our brains. And we do this with specific exercises that take us to the next level to where we can start doing this. But the first step is getting all of these distractions out of your life and then kind of looking over everything that you're doing all day and start saying, okay, so maybe it's not about what I'm doing. It's about what I shouldn't be doing. So you look at all the habits in your world, and this all comes to you. Like everything that I'm telling you, you're going to figure out yourself when you learn to isolate your attention. When you become that version of yourself that already has everything you desire, you're going to start shutting all these things out. You're going to realize that these are the things that are stopping you from your dream desire. And that's what Neville Goddard was referring to. He says, you are limited only by the level of your attention and your concentration on your wish fulfilled. When you can't focus on your wish fulfilled for 5 to 10 minutes at a time, you have no chance of using the law of assumption the Neville Goddard way. You have to understand this. You have to train your brain to be able to focus. And there's certain things that you have to do in order to do that. And it can be very magical. Things can come to you just mysteriously and where doors just open and things start to come to you and you start to think to yourself, be like, what kind of world am I living in? What is this? This is a simulation, because you start to see all the glitches within your reality. But not only the magical things, it changes you, because your body is a part of the simulation. Anything physical and tangible is part of the simulation. And that changes when you make these impressions within the subconscious mind. And when you start to make these serious impressions, because now your attention is developed, you start to see massive changes in your world. And this can happen within a month. It can happen really quickly if you really dedicate yourself to doing some exercises and getting away from all of these distractions within your world, and just go dark, go silent for a while, stop partying, stop watching social media, and start training your mind. Close your eyes, start visualizing, what you want to see happen in your world. And this is what creates the power of your attention and your concentration. And now you're seeing things and creating things within your reality, because now you can hold on to a visual scene or a picture of something you want to happen, and all of a sudden it materializes in your world. But in the process of that, you became somebody different. And when this starts to happen in your world, you can look back on yourself a month ago and you won't even recognize the person anymore. And that's why this new thing came into your reality. And you can start testing this out. You can start using this right now. And what this comes down to is controlling states of consciousness. When you learn to control states of consciousness, you can shift into that state where you're now a millionaire, when you have control of this power within you. You can literally control states, because we're all in different states. Either you could be poor, you could be a beggar like Neville Goddard says, or you could be rich. They're all the same being, just different states of consciousness. But how do you control these different states? You do that with your attention and feeling as if you're somebody else. That's what shifts in the simulation and changes your reality, alters the tangible things. Everything physical within your reality starts to shift, and you become this ideal, this image that from your imagination that's pushed out into this simulation. And you start to see these things start coming to you very rapidly. When you really learn to focus your attention on one thing for long periods of time, now you can control every state that you're in every single day. And you lose free will in these states, because your assumptions start to change. Your world starts to change. People start to change that you knew before, because now you've changed. Because you can't manipulate your world without first going within yourself and then isolating your attention on a new assumption, a new state, controlling your state. That's how you change your world. That's indirectly manipulating your world, but you can't directly manipulate your world. You have to indirectly, by changing who you are. Your concept of yourself determines what world you're going to be living in. And when you establish this power through the training of your attention, that's when you really start to see the magic come into your world. And I want to give you an exercise to do. And if you have trouble with this exercise, I want you to come back to my next video, because I'm going to go through a training series and I'm going to cover this stuff, like everything that's based on this, everything that's going to help you get to that level to where you can really start changing your life. Okay. When you can really start developing this muscle of your mind to control states. So what I want you to do today or tonight is I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to get very relaxed. And I want to see where your mind goes. Watch where it goes. See where it's drifting. See what it's thinking about. Is it something yesterday, something tomorrow, something that you think that may happen? Maybe it's something you're scared of, some anxiety, some fear, whatever's going on. I want you to just notice this stuff that's going on. Just for a couple minutes, notice what's going on. And then I want you to grab a hold of your attention. Take your attention, and I want you to focus in on a $100 bill. Or whatever your native currency is. It can be a $20 bill. It can be a $50 bill. Just something, a $1 bill. It doesn't matter. Okay, and I want you to focus in on this, and I want you to count stacks of these $100 bills or $20 bills or whatever your native currency is. Start counting very, very slowly in your mind, and see this in front of you somewhere. Create a scene somewhere in your house or somewhere that you're very familiar. And you're counting this, and I want to know how many bills you can count without your mind drifting. And when your thoughts drift away, that's going to tell you where your attention is, or your attention span, the strength of your attention to control states of consciousness and manifest things that come into your world. Just simply do this. Just count, see how many you can count. But be honest with yourself. If your mind drifts, you have to start over again. You can't just come back to it. You can't let your mind drift for 30 seconds and come back and then start off where you were. You have to start all over again. How far can you get with your attention counting these bills until it drifts off to something else or drifts off to something tomorrow? This is the power that you hold within you. And I want you to do this to see where your thoughts are, see where the power is within you to hold your attention, because this is how you control states. This is how you can manipulate your world internally and change your state. That way you can push out an entirely new reality where you start to really become successful in your world. And it can really be this simple. But the first step to this is finding out where your attention is. Where your attention goes, that's where your energy flows. But this is how you control states. And this is where I want you to really isolate and focus right now. And when you can do this, when you can train your brain, the sky is the limit. You will become, if you're already in a business now and you want it to 10x, this is what's going to do that. So I want to know where you're at. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.